All right. Good evening. Good evening. And we are live. It is Thursday evening, March 30th, 2023. And it is the Millionaire Ladies Mob. We are here with you. And
Yay!
we do have a guest today. We are talking about home ownership. We're talking about your options that you have um, available to you for mortgages. We're talking about what kind of things you need to do to prepare to be a homeowner in 2023. And we have the guru here today
I'm
to
here.
help us.
I know a little bit about a lot of bit real about real estate.
So yes, we do. I wanted to go ahead and tell you a little bit about our guest, but before I introduce her, let me remind you tonight we have two of the other Millionaire Ladies Mob sisters here, and I'm gonna go ahead and let them introduce themselves. I'm gonna do like uh, Aaliyah did us last week, so I'm gonna let them introduce themselves.
I'm gonna go first
Take it
because
away.
I'm gonna go first. Can you hear me? This is Aaliyah. Welcome everybody. I am the healthcare queen out here in Southern California. As you can see, it's still light out here, but it was pouring rain today. So thank you for joining us. I'm Aaliyah Sherrod, the healthcare queen.
All right. It's your girl Saran. I'm your debt elimination queen. I'm just happy to be in the building. I'm excited to hear about home ownership tonight because I'm working on something too. So I'm ready. Let's I don't want to be late with the introductions. Let's,
Okay,
let the expert talk.
okay,
I am Carmen Bernard, and you guys know that we're here every Thursday talking to you about your money matters, talking to you about your financial well-being, making sure that you protect your income, making sure that you eliminate debt, making sure that you create your own bank, infinite banking, and a legacy. And not to forget, we make sure that you prepare for retirement with an income stream that you can never outlive. And if you would like to connect with us, either to help us to do this in our community, you can reach us at millionaireladiesmob@gmail.com. You can go to millionaireladiesmob.com. You can also make sure that you share this video, even if you're a homeowner like Miss Saran and want to become another one or whatever. But uh, if this video is not for you, we would like for you to share this out because we want to get this out to everyone in the community. Share it, follow us, like us, do whatever it is you got to do on this social media streets. Okay. But tonight, let's get into it. I have
yeah.
Miss Marquetta Bryant. She is the founder and owner of Fresh Vision Realty Group. She's an inspiring figure who has overcome numerous challenges to reach the top of the real estate industry. Born and raised in SE, DC, where's that?
Southeast DC with an S.
I think
Southeast DC. Come on, Carmen.
Southeast DC.
Oh my God, I'm the foreigner. I don't know nothing about Southeast DC. I might know a little bit about Brooklyn, New York, but not Southeast DC. But Marquetta is a mom, and Marquetta's mom instilled in her the values of perseverance and determination from an early age. After attending a private school for middle schoolers, Marquetta owned in her creative writing skills at the prestigious Duke Ellington School of the Arts for high school. Although she briefly attended college for film in Miami, Florida, she realized that college out of state was not an affordable option for her and her family. So after working for a pension fund, hey girl, we need to talk to you because we need to get the insider scope on things. But after
I've
working
been
for a pension fund and
all in
enrolling
the
at
money.
yep, Trinity University, we all about money, girl. For mass communications, she faced a challenging period during 2009 recession. You guys all know what happened in 2008 and 2009. If you've been listening to us, we talk about it incessantly. But she was laid off from her job, pregnant with her first child, despite losing her apartment and becoming homeless. Guys, we talk about this. We are not talking down to you. We've been through these things, and we are talking to you from that role, from that place of experience. It's so we are not talking down to you. So here we have another queen in the house that will help us with this. But she found a way to negotiate the lease for her family, inspired others. She has inspired others in the same similar situations. This girl's got a lot of stuff going on here.
I got a lot. We ain't gotta go. We ain't gotta do all of it.
She received her MD real estate or Maryland real estate license and began working with local agents. Since then, she's been a top producing agent in Atlanta. She's been featured in various forms of media and won an Ethics and Action Award from her previous brokerage out of over 70,000 agents. All right. She's a member of the National Association of Real Estate. She's passionate about bringing awareness to protecting and increasing African American homeownership. Y'all can see why we chose her, because this is what we do. Right. And in December 21, she left one of the largest real estate companies in the world to establish Fresh Vision Realty Group, which aims to help change people's lives through real estate. She's super exciting. I just watch her from social media, and this lady does it all, man. She homeschools her children. They're always on vacation. She's always teaching. I think coming up this summer, she's going to teach where? In Puerto Rico? What are you doing?
Yes.
In Puerto Rico, she's going to be teaching there. But this lady is super awesome. Listen, Marquetta, I have tell the people anything that I missed, but let's get into this.
You got it all. That's me.
Right.
I'm excited to be here. Thank y'all for having me. Thank you for calling me. Thank you for considering me. I'm always humbled by that. So thank y'all.
Well, you're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome. See, and here we try to inspire our community by sharing with them, bottom line, how money works, right? Yeah. Because we want people, we want people to understand how money works, how to grow their money, how to protect their money, and how to make it last for generations. Everybody's screaming generational wealth, but until we could do it for 3 or more generations, it ain't that yet, you know.
And money don't move without real estate.
Yeah, well, you know. So here's the thing. This is why we wanted to bring you on, and we want you to talk about it, not just from this perspective of people who want to buy a home. Definitely we want to talk about that. But we also want you to talk about how they not just own their own home, but how they also do it, because real estate is where it is when it comes to wealth. Insurance too, but okay.
Yes.
So where do we begin?
I am a residential broker. However, I believe that every home is an investment. So the very first thing that I tell new buyers when they come to me and they say, I want to buy a house is, well, let's see what investment we can get you into. Your home is your investment. And here's why. And a lot of people don't think about that way, right? When we think about real estate, we usually think about how, I want to make sure it's pretty. I'm going to live here forever. Yeah, you can live there forever. That's fine if that's what you choose to do. But if that's not what you choose to do. So I'm going to tell you 2 ways that you can either live in your house forever and let it make money for you. And my son just showed up for some reason. He's gone now. 2 ways you can have money.
We're family friendly. We have the dogs on here, the babies, everybody.
Yeah, it's fine. And there are 2 ways that you can have it make money for you. So if you want to live there forever, you can do what we call a HELOC or a BRRRR. So there's somewhere you can take some of the equity out. You could refi it. You can take some of the equity out and use that money to invest in another piece of real estate. For instance, we bought our house. A lot of my clients bought their houses for me, I'll talk about me. I bought my house in 2018. Our house is now worth almost double what we bought it for 5 years later, right? So we can take some of that money. Okay, now we need a 20% down payment. We could take 100,000 in equity. Still not going to hurt us because we've got almost double equity, right? We could take 100,000 in equity. We're going to have to pay the bank maybe an extra $300 a month for it. So we'll take that money out. We'll pay the money to the bank for the refi or the HELOC. I prefer the HELOC. If you can get a HELOC, it's a little bit cheaper than a refi. And you don't have to change your interest rate. So those are my favorite things. And I'm not a lender, but it's just some things that my investors do. So you can take that money out and you can go ahead and put that money down and buy a new property. If you just want to stay in your house forever. So you can invest and not leave your home. You don't have to flip it and sell it to leave. If you buy a property and you say, I'm gonna stay there, the law says that you have to live there for 1 year if you're using a government loan. You only have to live there.
Just 1 year.
Otherwise, it's going to be capital gains, right?
1 year is how long you have to live there for 1 year. If you want to avoid capital gains, you have to live there for at least 2 of the last 5 years. So you can live there for 2 years, rent it out for 3 years, let it gain equity, and then sell it. If you want to get
that sounds
into
like a good process. Sounds like a workshop to me.
Well, y'all have to holler at my realtor Jasmine for that workshop. That's her lane. But she's all of it. She's the investing realtor. I'm just the broker that's like, yes, do it. But that's one way that you can.
Let me ask you a question. So let's go back. So you said you're a broker.
Yes.
That means what's the difference?
Okay, so a real estate broker, not all. So a real estate broker, you have an associate broker, which means that you had got a broker's. Yep, he came back. Which means you got a broker's license. And
so you're the top. You get the money.
The top. I write the check.
You divvy it down. Okay.
And I divvy it down.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Which means we also got all the bills.
Right. You went the extra mile to get the broker license.
Right? Yes. So in Georgia, in order to get a broker's license, you have to have 3 years as an agent. I think they're about to change the rules and make it a little harder. I think it's about to make it 5 and certain level of production, which I fully support. But yes, so the broker means that we own the company and we hold the licenses of other agents. And then we govern what happens with commission checks. And we also take on all of the liability. So all the liability, if one of my agents get out there and they mishandle somebody, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble.
They calling you.
They calling me.
Okay.
But we don't do that at Fresh Vision because we are all about ethics over here.
Yes.
That's who I am. So that's who works with me on my team. So we're all about that. So we're gonna go back. So the broker. So yes, I'm the broker. I have agents, and I'm all about. So let me back up. I know one thing that you read in my bio was that I was all about helping people to change their lives through real estate. Real estate has changed our life tremendously. 9 years ago, we moved to Atlanta. We had a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old, and we moved here with completely no support, no family, just me, my husband, and my 2 broke little kids. They weren't buying any real estate for me. He was working full time, so he wasn't buying any real estate. We weren't in a position to buy real estate for ourselves yet. And we really got out there and grinded. And I remember my husband saying to me, we didn't come down here for you to get a job. Go figure out your real estate license. Go do that. And I was like, but I don't know anybody. And it took one person to tell me that I couldn't do it. And I was like, I'm going to show you. So I learned real estate with no sphere. So for all the agents out there, if you're an agent and you're listening, I started real estate in a new city with no sphere, not knowing anybody, as a stay-at-home mom with a 4-month-old baby and a 4-year-old. And that was in 2015 I started, and my husband retired March 2018. So he works with me now.
Okay.
We haven't worked for anybody in 5 years. I haven't worked for anybody in 9 years. He hasn't worked for anybody in 5 years. So when I say real estate changed your life, I mean, as a consumer, it can change your life. I have given out, especially in the last few years, $300,000 bags, $200,000 bags, 6-figure bags, all over the place, from people who bought real estate, lived in it for 2 or 3 years, and then sold it. Haven't done no work. They got paid to live there. So real estate can change your life. In that instance, real estate can change your life and get into this business and helping other people and helping them change their life. It'll help you change your life. It's poured so much into us. And I tell everybody, this is my ministry. I love it. I love helping agents build themselves up, and I love helping consumers get out there and get their piece of the pie. Nothing moves in this country or in any country in the world without real estate. Land is the only thing that is immovable, unless you know, even if you blow it up, you can blow up a house, the land still has value. Oh, that was a word right there.
That was a word. That was a gem right there.
That was a word.
Right.
That was a word right there.
Right. That's the only thing that it is immovable. So I love it. I'm an artist. Like, I was a writer, right? So like, how does a writer get into real estate? Like, because I found that it was the one way that I can actually help people change their lives. When I was younger, my mother was a single teenage mother. We were on public assistance and Section 8. I couldn't paint my walls in my house. I know it's like a crazy idea, but I really like melted down in my head. Like, it stuck with me. It was like a piece of trauma, because I asked to paint the walls, because we went to private schools. Like, her and my grandfather made sure we went to private schools. We went to private schools when the kids were, you know, upper middle class and they had different kinds of money. And we went to one girl's house for a birthday party. Her walls was painted. I wanted to paint mine too. I couldn't. I never forgot it. So it has been my mission. I've helped so many single mothers get off of Section 8 and own their own properties, because I don't want any other child to never feel like they can't paint their walls. Maslow's law says, oh, thank you. The first level of Maslow law says the foundation is the first thing that children need. It's not a lot of foundation in a renter's. So if you think about it, even in Georgia, here's another reason why you need to own a house. Now, I don't want to sound preachy, but I really feel like this is really my thing. Here's another reason you should own a house. They build lines. Literally, they take out a map. Where do people own houses and where do people rent? And the renters get sent to the same school. Their schools are underfunded. Why are their schools underfunded? Because where does the money for schools come from?
Property tax.
Yes.
Comes from property tax.
Exactly.
They are still redlining legally.
Exactly.
Still.
So
Exactly.
when I hear somebody say, I don't want to own a house, and I'm like, why not? And I'm like, you can't even go and make certain decisions if you're not a homeowner. You're not even inviting into certain committee meetings if you're not a homeowner. They don't.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I love that you said that, right? Because I know I learned this a long time ago helping out. I actually live in Maryland, not too far from where you grew up.
Okay.
And so I learned this in the political field, helping somebody campaign. And they don't even knock on apartment doors when they're campaigning. They only go to homeowners, right? But the question I wanted to ask was this is, so, you're saying buy the house. And so I'm watching the video. I'm going to pretend like I'm a regular audience member.
Okay.
Right? But the interest rates are 6%. The interest rates are 7%. Should I still buy a house? Should I be concerned about it? Because this is the question. These are the questions that I know I hear from clients. Well, I'm going to wait to buy a house because the interest rates are up. I don't want to pay the high interest rate. But of course, I'm ringing, right? But what would you tell someone who's saying, no, I'm going to wait till the interest rates go down to buy a house?
These are normal interest rates.
Thank you.
My interest rate was a 5.625 in 2018. It was a great rate.
Yep.
It was a 5.375. It was a great rate. These are normal rates. I had a client in 2019 lock at 7% for 100% financing. What we saw in 2000 and there's my husband.
He's trying to hide.
He's trying not to see. He's giving me my charger. It's fine. Y'all gonna see all the Bryants. We a package deal. What happened in 2018 was, I'm sorry, in 2020 was an anomaly. That was just the government trying to re-stimulate the the economy, right? So they were like, okay, we're going to drop the rates to the bottom of the barrel. They did not expect the pandemonium that happened to happen. They were just trying to keep people to keep buying. So shout out to all my clients with a 3% or lower interest rate. I definitely refinanced mine in time. However, but I
didn't either.
Yeah, we refied at the buzzer, like, but we're never gonna see him again. So if you are somebody who has a 3% or less interest rate, and you're like, I'm never giving that up, but I want another house, keep it as an investment property. You can make so much money just owning the property. Right. So there are so many loans out there that people give you just for owning the property. There's one where you can buy up to like 4 properties as long as you show that how much the rent is going to be on them.
Oh wow.
There are so many doors open to you on the house. So question, when you move out of a property and you're the renter, what happens when you're moving out typically?
The rent is going to go up?
No, but what do they ask you for? Or what do they give you money when you move out?
It depends. Get back. Look, I haven't rented an apartment in 20 years.
They may give you your deposit back.
They may give you your deposit back.
Yeah,
if they haven't figured out,
right? They ain't giving you no. Hey, you know what? The equity in this house, went up while you were here. Let's give you half of that. You're not
doing that.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, what has also been happening to renters, and I've been getting this call all the time, and I get it. I mean, in 2020, 2021, 2023, I'm gonna get them soon again. We've been getting a lot of phone calls about people. Oh, my landlords decided to sell.
Yeah, because the equity's up.
The equity's up. Why? That was the whole point of
buying the property, right? To hold it so you can make more money.
Now they can sell it, make $300K, and go buy some more properties, right? So that's the whole point of that. So everybody's like, well, you're going to pay the bank anyway. Listen, if for some reason we can't pay our mortgage today, I'm just going to put this house on the market. I'm still going to make double what I paid, and I'm going to have lived here.
Yeah.
Right? I can do no work to this property right now and sell it for double what I paid for it. Having done absolutely nothing to it.
And you know what? You make a good point, because I had a client once who had a property. They had some financial issues because they weren't working and all that, right? The house went into foreclosure. It took like 18, 20 months for it to even go anywhere. By that time, the person had figured out a plan, didn't pay the mortgage for 18 months. They had like the FHA, the government one. So they did the modification. So they did all these things to be able to stay in the house, and still weren't paying any mortgages. But they figured all that out.
They work with you more.
They work with you to stay.
Especially, there are so many people who got. I know some people who didn't have to pay their mortgage for 2 years because of COVID, and they just did a back modification. They have so much equity. It didn't matter if you put $30,000 in the back of their loan.
Right.
They had so much equity.
Yeah. I got another client that did that too. She went through the program. There was I forgot what the program was called, but you had to sign up during COVID. And so she didn't pay her mortgage for the 18 months for the whole period, the CARES Act period. Yes. Then when it came to the end, they offered her the modification. Now, this person was frugal. She actually saved the mortgage because she was still working. Yeah. And she was like, I think they're going to check my bank account and they're going to get the money back. I said, well, let's just see. I said, well, get the offer, see what they're offering. They literally came back, gave her a streamlined modification, no doc. They never saw the money she had in the bank.
Docs for that. You can also get a streamlined mod. If you're a veteran or you have an FHA loan, you can get a streamlined modification, no docs, no credit check.
Yeah.
As long as the equity is there and a lower interest rate. That's the way.
And that's exactly what she did. And so that was the thing. Wow. If you didn't know, if you didn't know to do it, you didn't do it, or you didn't have a house, you couldn't do it, right? And so and so she's not the only one. So smart people said, if I could save my $2,000 a month mortgage for, or 1,000, or whatever your mortgage is, save that for the next 18 months during this forbearance. I see Anthony put it in chat, COVID related forbearance. You have that forbearance, $2,000 a month, a year, you already at like $24,000 that you could get yourself ahead of the game financially.
And you can use that money. So I just want to drop a little gem. By the way, I just want to say, Georgia, if you're listening, that is a Maryland thing. We do not take 18 months to foreclose down here. I have a license in Maryland and in Georgia. Let me just, if you don't pay in Georgia, you don't stay. It puts you out in 60 days. And if you're on a courthouse step, they don't care.
Yeah.
And in Maryland, you have a thing where you can buy it back. They don't do that here.
Yeah. Well, and again, the rules are different in each state, so it's important to know. Because if you're in New York or DC, it's a tenant right state. You can't get out. You can barely get put out of apartment in those states.
In California, they have all these rights. You cannot evict a tenant, and so what's happening here? Because I'm in California. What's happening here is that the tenant can sit in your property and not pay you any rent and say COVID, and you're stuck.
We're having the same issues here.
Oh my goodness.
But different. The only reason we're having those issues, and my associate broker was literally telling me about this morning. She was saying that we're having the same issues here in several different counties. So I think only one county, I think Gwinnett is the only county. Gwinnett putting y'all out. I think Gwinnett is the only county that's up to date. The courts are so backed up. They're almost a year out in other counties.
Yeah.
You're in Atlanta? You're
in Georgia? And so I'm here in Gwinnett, and that's good. And it's good for me to hear this. It's not so good for the people that are living there, but we're telling you to become a homeowner. We're telling you to move so that does not happen to you. But as you own homes, right, and you are trying to build wealth with homes, that's good news, right? We can get you out and get in somebody else. Anthony said earlier, the rent at 6%, interest rate at 6% is cheaper than rent, and that is truly, that's really a true statement, because rent has gone up, especially in the last 3 years, double and triple. It's crazy what they're asking for in
all of our areas, in all the popular metro areas.
And if you're listening to us and you have, a student that's just graduating college, getting their first jobs and stuff like that, you encourage that, baby. I did that with both of my boys. But I said, you're not going to leave here and go pay somebody else's mortgage. You are going
about college.
Yes, you definitely can. But so that's what I told my kids. Go ahead.
College students that are just graduating, if you get a job in your field, you can buy a house with your offer letter in your first paycheck, because your college credits are considered employment history.
Wow.
Say it again for the people in the back. No, say it again. No, seriously. Okay. Say it again.
College students, if you get a job in your career field, you can buy a house with your offer letter for the new job in your first paycheck, because your university, your college credits, and your degree are considered your job history.
I love that. Let me ask you this question. Do you recommend? I like that. That's a benefit. And I often, I have this conversation. We, have the debates, but a college student, would you say as soon as they get out, they should buy a car, or should they buy a house?
A house. A car is going to depreciate. You can buy a house as soon as you listen. You can buy a house, walk out of closing, and go to the dealership. But if you walk into the dealership first, you're not going to walk into closing.
Right.
So I always say,
and
go ahead.
Yeah. And if you're listening to us, like I brought up the fact about college students, because listen, for too long, we do not talk to young people. We need to teach them, right? Because financial literacy is not inherent, right? You don't just get this from someplace. So right now is the time to be talking to your children. Include them in those conversations. For too long, we've been saying children should be seen and not heard, right? But children need to be seen, heard, and spoken to, and everything like that. And I'm going to tell you one of the things conversations I had with my 10-year-old granddaughter. And I said, let's think about where it is that you want to go to college, because we want to start looking for places there that we can purchase that you can now live for free while your roommates pay the rent on it. Right. I think these are the kind of conversations that we really need to be, pay the mortgage on it. I think these are the kind of conversations we should be having. And children, a lot of times they come back from college or whatever, they're ready to go out on their own. You encourage them to own the property instead of going and rent and paying somebody else's mortgage. You encourage them to do that. And that's what I did with my children. And I will,
another way, sorry, not to cut you off, but another way to pay for college. My daughter wants to be a doctor. Like, that's pricey. So we're buying an investment property that we can hold for the next 6-7 years while she's doing undergrad in high school and all of that. And when she's ready to go to doctoral school, she can just sell the property and pay for it that way. Listen, she can get a good $100K out of it.
Exactly.
That's enough to pay for medical school, right?
Right. I mean, that's a good money game, right? Because instead of them coming to us to say, I got $200,000 in, hey, Eric, so instead of them coming to us and saying, hey, I got $200,000 in student loan debt, can you help me get out of debt? We're putting in things in place, and we talk about different ways to add to layer to the real estate. And that's why we have the conversations, these multiple layered conversations, to really just say, do the real estate, do the investing, do the crypto, do the stocks, do the strategic insurances, do all those, find a way to put a plan together to tap into all these resources, because we need 7 streams of income to be a millionaire.
You sure do. And I'm on like, we sure do.
Look, I'm counting mine too. Like, do I have enough fingers to get more?
Right. So here's my question, right? Because I certainly did not, I certainly did not, Anthony's asking a question, we'll get to that, but I certainly did not know this when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, when I bought my first property, and even if I could have bought it early, I would have wished that someone would have told me something like this. And I would like for you to speak to it. And that is, you're young, you're single, you're not necessarily looking for your forever home. So one of the ways to turn that home into a true investment right from the beginning is to buy something that you can actually rent a part of it. So maybe a duplex or a quad or something where you have many doors, and now those people are paying the actual mortgage, and you can now invest what you would have been paying. That's the other thing. We don't want to miss that part. You would have normally been paying living expenses. Now you want to put that money to do some real work for you, while other people pay for you to think. So speak a little bit about that.
Yes. So I have a few clients. One of my clients, my youngest client in Georgia, was 21 when he bought his house. And he still lives there. I have another client. Yesterday was her house anniversary. Yay. And she wasn't quite like coming out of college, but she bought her first house, was a duplex. And it was under, and I think I can answer that question at the same time as I'm answering this. It was under $200,000. It was a tenant already in place. So the tenant was already paying money. She moved in on the other side. We just had an update call yesterday. Like, hey, it's been a year. How's everything going over there? And she's like, oh, I just redid the roof. I'm going to do the gutters. The tenant is a dream. She pays on time. So her mortgage was cut in half for what she had to pay because she already had somebody living there. So remember, so let's go back to the beginning of the conversation when I said FHA only requires you to live there for 1 year. So technically right now, if she wants to move out, she can and put a tenant in there and profit about, it's a 2-bedroom. She can get about $1,800 a month for it, right? If she doesn't want to do that, I wish my husband would come get his phone. If she doesn't want to do that, Remember that we go back to the next step, 2 years, capital gains. She can live there for 1 more year. So this time next year, we can go find something else. She can move a tenant in there. She'll probably get $2,000 a month for it at that point. And then she'll be able to buy another property. So she'll be able to do a HELOC on that property because she's doing some renovations for it right now, right? So she'll be able to do a HELOC or BRRRR. I'm a big fan of the BRRRR method. I'm a sucker for a BRRRR method. I'm not a lender, but if y'all ever call a lender on, ask them.
Tell us what's a BRRRR, because I don't
So
know what's a BRRRR.
BRRRR is when you go in and you buy a property and you fix it up. So you know you bought it undervalued, you fix it up, and then you take it to the bank and say, hey, I renovated this property. This is what the value now is to match the neighborhood. The bank is going to give you all of that money as if you sold it to yourself. Yeah, we walking.
Girl, dropping gems.
Why do they call
That's
it-
a hack for
why do
real.
they call it a BRRRR? What does BRRRR stand for?
It's a BRR method, and look it up. I don't know. I just know it's the BRRRR method.
It's the
I
BRRRR
don't
method.
know. I don't
Okay.
remember all the
And there's certain areas. There's certain
BRR?
areas.
Yeah, BRR.
But there's certain areas that you can do that very well in.
Yeah, Atlanta's a hot area, and again, it depends on if you buy the house under market value. So, for instance, I closed one earlier this month, and they bought it about $50,000, $60,000. I think I took $60,000 from them. Okay, they bought it like $60,000 under comps. If they went in there today and renovated some light renovations, slapped some granite around the kitchen, just different things to pull the value up, they can go to the bank and say, hey, I renovated. I think it can appraise for this now. They're going to send an appraiser out there. The appraiser is going to say, you're right. They're going to go. It's a closing and everything. You're going to go to closing. They're going to give you the money. Yeah, you're going to have a small amount that you have to pay on it, right? Very small and compared to a refi.
Okay.
And then you're going to go and you can do some more investments.
Jasmine is telling us what it is: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat.
There you go.
There you go.
Jasmine is my investor agent that I was telling y'all about.
There you go.
I need to invest. Like, that's Jasmine's lane.
We need to get Jasmine to teach us to invest.
Y'all can have
Jasmine. We're gonna get you before the end. We're gonna get you on here before the end of this next quarter, because this is the last.
Yeah, because you know what? I have a lot of clients ask me about, okay, now that I've built up all this equity, this cash, because we've done different programs and different things. All right, now I want to get into real estate. How do I do it? You know, how do I move this money? How can I get these things done? And I'm not a real estate investor. I just live in my house, right? But those are the types of resources that, you know, because one of the things that we pride ourselves here with this group of ladies, the Millionaire Ladies Mob, is we try to bring people to the table who are experts at the things we aren't experts for. Because the people, our clients and the people that we tap into, we want them to know they can come to us for anything, and we will make sure they get what they need.
Absolutely.
Even if it's through a connection, you know. So
we're the same way at Fresh Vision.
And you know, on that same note that Saran is speaking on. And one of the reasons I say we got to get Jasmine on, we teach our clients how to really make their money work for them, how to grow cash value, and then use that money to do investments to grow that money without without losing the compounding on that money. So they continue to get continued uninterrupted compound interest while they're using that money to invest, as opposed to if you have that money in the bank, you take the money out. Now it's not being invested anymore for you, not getting any more compound interest on it. But we show our clients how to do that, and now continue to build their wealth by going ahead and invest while that money continues to grow for them. And then once they do that, and whether they beat the BRRRR, then they can pay back, and then they can do it all over again.
So one thing, I'm gonna plug Jasmine one more time because that's my boo. One thing that Jasmine and we talked about it. We just worked on this niche, so I'm super excited. All my agents got some great niches and things that they really hone into. That's just their one thing that they do extremely well in real estate. I mean, they still do everything really well, but this is the one thing they do extremely well, and it's kind of their focus. So one thing that Jasmine does, and it's going to kind of answer, and I'm not going to call him Anthony because that's my uncle. It's going to answer my uncle's question. That what about people who don't have the money? So that's Jasmine's specialty, is taking a first-time home buyer and making them an investor right away, right out the gate.
Wow.
So one
Wow.
and make sure when y'all have her on, you tell her all about it. But one of the ways that she do that is right now I'm telling people, everybody's like, oh my gosh, well, I only qualify for this, but I want this. Okay, take that same method that I told you. Buy the $200,000 house that we know is only $200,000 because of the condition it's in.
Right.
Buy that house.
Rehab.
Do the work, rehab it. There are so many companies out here that'll work with you to rehab it or rehab it yourself. Get on YouTube. As long
Where
as
you
it
gonna
doesn't
find a
have
$200,000 house? Where's a $200,000 house?
She's in California.
Please.
Excuse her. She's in California. Come
In
to Georgia.
It ain't Georgia. In Georgia. Come on,
Come
in Georgia.
to Georgia.
That's why all the Cali coming in Georgia.
Wow.
You can buy you a $200,000-$300,000 house, right? If it has some equity in it. Right now, you can really buy a house with a little bit of equity. So we lost about, and it's coming back. Georgia, and I can only speak for Georgia. Georgia is slated. Well, I can speak for Georgia and the rest of the country because Atlanta is leading the real estate industry leading the real estate industry this year. Period. We have for the last 5 years or so. Lead the country in real estate. So we're making all of the whatever we do in Atlanta is going to come over to the other countries, except California kind of shot themselves in the foot during COVID. But that's
I'm telling you.
California, Arizona kind of hurt themselves a little bit during
I think
COVID.
Arizona's kind of like getting back to it.
Yeah, they getting back to it, but y'all was going crazy.
California, it's like, it's just crazy. But you brought out some so many good points, especially our young people, because that starts and creates legacy for future generations, keeping properties in the family. The first thing people want to do when they inherit property is get rid of it. It's like, no, keep it in the family.
Keep it, fix it. Take every family member, put in $5,000. Fix up grandma's house.
We could all work
fix up
together.
Granddad's house. Fix up uncle's house. Fix up the house. Keep it. Listen, I had a client come to me, Marquetta. My dad wants to sell his house. What do you think we should do? I said, he owns it outright. Yeah, he owns it outright. What he said to me is they're about to do a whole lot of infrastructure in this area. I said, sit on it.
That's right.
He said, really? I said, sit on it, renovate it, put a tenant in there and sit on it. I am not the agent that's going to be like, sell your house. Listen, if you got to sell it and there are extenuating circumstances and, you're getting a divorce or you're moving or whatever things and you need to sell it, or you just like, I had one client call me, it was like, just give me a bag. I ain't never had a six-figure bag before. I want to see it in my bank account. Fine. Like I lived here. I don't like it. Fine. But if you want to stay there and you want to kind of learn how to invest, keep your house. I'm never going to tell anybody to sell their house. I told my daughter, she was like, I want this house. I want to raise my kids here. Well, have at it, sis. I'm going to leave it right here and I'm going to go buy something else. Because I know how to do that. So I wanted to get back really quick to how we turn first-time home buyers into investors. Okay. Because I think that's important for people. What I think is important for people to know is that a lot of people saw the big companies and they think you have to have a bunch of money to buy a house. In Atlanta in 2022 and 2021, it was the small investors, people buying 5 or less properties that controlled this market. Get in the game. If you are married or coupled, you live with a domestic partner, whatever your dynamics are, and you trust that person, you go buy a house. Put one person on the mortgage. Don't be trying to put 2 people. I literally had one wife was like, why am I not on the mortgage? I was like, why do you want to be on the mortgage?
Right. I'm going to be on the deed. That's all.
As long as I'm on the deed, I'm good.
Exactly.
You don't have to be on the mortgage to be on the deed. So here's why it's only one of us on the mortgage in this house, because we're going to buy other house in somebody else's name. We're going to move into that house because we got to live there for 2 years. We're going to rent out this house. Then when this house is rented and we can show consistent rental income, we're going to give that lease to the in all of the rental income to the loan officer. We're going to omit this house from that other person's debt to income. We're going to go buy another house.
There you go.
Now we got 3 properties. Oh, I have a lot of single people who buy houses. Well, what if I get married? Well, let them buy you a new house. Now you already have a built-in investment property.
Now you got 2.
My other favorite thing to do is to house hack. Now, what is house hacking, Marquetta? Rent if you're gonna. So for us, we're all, like Carmen said, my family, we like to go on vacation a lot. Because I'm also a travel agent and I just like to be out in the world. We kind of world school. I believe that's the best way to learn. We homeschool our kids, so we just be out. We live very free lives. That's why my husband don't work for nobody except for me. He really bossed me around all day. Just want y'all to know. But house hacking. If you know you're gone, you can Airbnb your house out. If you don't want to, if you know you're going to be gone for 60 days, you can pull in a short-term rental. If you have an extra space in the basement, this is not very popular in Georgia, and I'm seeing it become a lot more popular, and I'm really pushing for it. In Maryland, it is not uncommon in DC, it's not uncommon for a whole other family to live in the basement, right?
Facts.
Right.
It's the norm in New York.
Right.
In New York, it's the norm. It's 3 families in a house. Period.
Yeah. And they don't do that here. So that's one thing that is coming back now. I think people are now renting out their basements. I have an apartment in my basement. Like, my aunt and uncle are here though, so they be like, "Excuse me." but house hacking, you can rent out your when you own a property. There are so many things that you can do with it that you can't do with it when you're a tenant. When you're a tenant, you have to ask that landlord's permission. And if I'm your landlord, I'm saying no.
Correct.
Just so you know. But when you own the house, if I own the house and I know my rent's behind, I'm about to Airbnb this sucker for about 4 or 5 days, about a week, because I know I can make $2,000. If we have people who rent rooms by the week here. You have travel nurses, you have corporations. One thing that I'm telling people to get into, another form of short-term rentals that you don't have to do Airbnb, is insurance. So you're about to come back into your lane, Carmen. You know, insurance, when people have to be displaced for a fire or natural disaster, things like that, insurance companies pay big money. Big money. I mean,
relocation. Okay.
$5,000 a month money. Yeah. Okay, like a lot. I had one person that was displaying insurance. They paid. I used to get phone calls on my rentals like, we're willing to pay $6,500 a month. It was a townhouse, 3-bedroom, y'all, like, because they just need something short. It's a short term. So they have to pay you more because you're not taking on a full 12-month lease. So if you can constantly get people in for that short term, I'm telling everybody, the 30, 60, 90-day people are the new form, especially since Airbnb is doing a lot. They're cracking down a lot on the Airbnbs. The 30, 60, 90-dayers, you can pay. I was looking at an Airbnb in Hawaii. I know they're charging me triple if I want to stay for a month. Whereas if I rent an apartment, it'd only be like $2,500, but you're charging me $8,000.
Yeah.
So there are so many ways to use your property, so many different things you can do with the property, so many different ways to get a property. You can buy properties with no money. Y'all ask Jasmine about that.
We getting Jasmine on. Jasmine is coming on. We're getting that's a done deal.
This is your official invite, Jasmine.
It's your official invite, Jasmine. In the month of April, Team Marquetta, we're having a competition in our brokerage. So she on my team, not Vernon's. Get her on. They're gonna say I'm cheating when I get back.
We will.
So there are so many.
Oh my gosh, we have really.
That's it.
I just love this conversation tonight. You know, we didn't just do the normal thing about home ownership and this and that, whatever. We really dropped some gems. We're loving having you here today, giving us all these different things: the bird, the house hacking, the things that the college kids can do, all these different things. So how about helping our audience to just kind of understand navigating the home buying process a little bit, from pre-approval all the way to...
I tell everybody, think about, I know it's not like politically correct, so I'm sorry. If you ever had a baby, if you know somebody's had a baby, if you ever been around somebody who had a baby, it's just my way, because this is how my brain works, and I have ADHD. Okay, so I tell everybody, to me, buying a house was a lot like having a baby. That first trimester, when you're about to get pre-approved, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can get approved. I can never get approved. By the way, all the people who think they can't get pre-approved usually are the ones that can. It's the super confident ones, and you'd be like, no. What always happens. But during that process, I tell everybody that is the first trimester, especially your first child. You don't know what's happening to your body. If you ever been around anybody who's, been through that, they're like a little bit neurotic, like what's happening? What's going on? I know I called my mother 1,000 times. She was probably sick of me. I just had heartburn. But I tell everybody, that's like your first trimester, the pre-approval, the talking to the lender. You're sick. You don't know what's happening. You're nervous, all of those things. The second trimester, I tell everybody, the second trimester, I was showing. Everybody knew I was pregnant. They gave me food. I like to eat. I was happy. It was cool. I wasn't sick anymore. I was just, that's house hunting. That's going out, looking at properties. Like I was a little sick sometimes because what is happening, but not sick enough that, and I kind of know what's happening now. So I'm not as nervous. I kind of know the things. So that what happens during your when you go out and start looking at property. That's supposed to be the fun time. Make sure your agents make it a good time. I always ask my clients, would you like a little tequila while we're looking at properties? But that's just me. I don't know.
You're my new BFF. If you give me tequila, I'm buying 2 houses. 2.
I got you. I'll come to Maryland just for you. I got a partner up there. Her name is Kanita Tang. She's amazing. I love her. So, but that's like the second trimester. It's supposed to be a good time. You're supposed to enjoy it. You're out, you're looking at property. Finally, you're seeing what's out there, checking it out. And then you go into contract. And then you don't talk to your realtor as much because now you got to talk to the loan officer every day. Because now the underwriter is on you. I don't know about y'all, but that third trimester when I was having a baby, I was like, please, I just don't talk to me. Look at me, breathe on me. Do you want to, like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know when the baby coming. They keep on touching you, but ain't nothing happening. That's what happens during the third trimester. When you under contract, you're like, okay. And I was the worst buyer, by the way. I had been doing real estate for years when I bought my house. I was the worst under contract buyer I had ever had to my own self. I was like, okay, what happens? Like, I know all of this. What are you doing? This is why they tell doctors not to operate on themselves.
Right.
So my agents are like, no, you're going to help me buy my house. I'm not doing it myself. What are you talking about? But yes, because you're nervous and things like that. And then you close on the house, no matter how difficult it was, no matter how painful it was, no matter, even if it was fun. And then you forget in 5 years how awful it was. And you have another.
And you do it again. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's like the product. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Anthony said he didn't think he would get pre-approved, but he did. I get it.
Yeah, you just gotta try. You don't know. Here's what I tell everybody when they come to me and say, Marquetta, I want to buy a house. Let's go talk to the mortgage loan officer. Oh, I don't want to. Well, you're not gonna know if you can by just talking to me. Because that's
and you're not gonna waste my time without me knowing if you can actually buy a house.
Well, I don't want them to waste their times either or get their hopes up. I don't like the show Property Brothers because I feel like they be dangling carrots in front of people's face and they be like, oh, look at this mansion, but then you got to buy the box that they're going to renovate the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like
be in a fight with them. I do be in a fight with them after they be like, let's just go set your dream. And then now we got this trailer around the corner that we got to do 8 weeks worth of work to. I mean, even though they're doing it, but.
Right. So I think that's the thing. You have to rip off the Band-Aid. If your agent is good and they're connected to good people, they're going to connect you to a loan officer that cares. One who's going to say, hey, baby, you're not ready right now, because there's no in real estate. There's yes or not right now. The not right now can last however long you decide for it to last. It's up to you. So the lender can say, hey, you're not ready right now, Marquetta. Here's what you need to do, X, Y, Z. Okay, the lender can rescore you in 3 days or less. You can have a 580 credit score. You go do the things they told you to do. And on Thursday, you can have a 700 by doing what they told you to do. So you going to wait and let your friend down the street do your credit repair and just be doing stuff, not knowing what they're doing. Or you're going to go to the people that's going to give you the money.
There you go.
And that's what I
mean. They should go to a professional and not mom and them. I'm just asking for a friend.
I know, right? Imagine that.
Out loud. I just need to ask the question out loud because I always get, and I know Aaliyah and Carmen can relate. I always get, well, my friend said, and this one said, and then on the internet they said, and I'm like, well, did you find out about what your situation, how your situation applied to what everybody told you on the internet? And we on the internet giving information too. But the thing is that, and we always say the disclaimer: this is general information for education. And you need to talk to a professional to find out about your situation.
Exactly. I am not giving out insurance information. Even though I took the class, but I refuse.
Right.
I still don't understand it like I understand real estate, right? Because this is my baby.
Right.
So there are things that, and this is what I tell people, you don't know if you don't find out. And by the way, credit repair is state dependent. So find out what the rules are in your state. I think a lot of people think about credit repair, but they never think about the fact that it is regulated just like any other industry. If you are in Georgia and you are doing credit repair, there are only 3 people, and I say this and I beat it down on my page. There are only 3 people who are allowed to legally do credit repair in Georgia. Everybody else is illegal. You have to be a nonprofit, a lawyer, or a real estate broker, meaning you got to own the company like me. Not an agent, a broker.
Interesting fact. Didn't know that.
Those are the only people.
I did not know that either.
And a broker can only be helping, and a broker can only help because they're helping you to get a home.
That's interesting. So I wonder how many people, are watching this live on the replay that live in Georgia that knew that, and maybe they went somewhere else, or you live in another state and you don't know who can do what. Because
in your state, Maryland has a crazy credit repair law too, so you pay attention to that.
I mean, but with so much information or outformation or however you receive out here on the internet, everybody's claiming to repair your credit and help you fix this and help you do that. And then they got crash courses you can buy on fixing your credit and this and that and all of these things, right? Oh my God, it's so much. And then it's funny because some courses I look at, I know I told somebody this story, and my cousin, she's gonna watch this video, she's gonna kill. I always tell stories about her. I talk to her all the time. But she talked me into buying this course for her, right? And I get the course and I was like, I could have taught you this course. Because the courses I bought it went to my email. But I was like, we didn't need you. Like, she said, you're right. We didn't need it. I said, so we went for the hype, right? Because everybody's they're online hyping up their product and service as they should, because they're selling a product and service.
Bugattis. That's what they do in Georgia.
But the thing is that how many of us don't ever take into account what we already know?
No, yes.
And we already have access. I
want people to know. I want people to know that you do not have to be rich to start investing in property. You don't even have to have any money to start investing in property. They don't want you to know that. You don't have to already own a house. There are ways to own a home If you are only approved for 150,000, you better find the best thing that 150,000 can buy you and start somewhere. I have too many people who say, I'm going to wait for interest rates to go down. I'm going to wait for the market to crash. That's not going to happen. Y'all got to start waiting for that. I'm going to wait for and you wait yourself out of a blessing.
Yeah.
So just buy it. If you're approved, do it.
Well, and as an aside, if you wait for the market to crash, you might not even have a job.
You're not going to have a job.
If it really gets to where like we were back in the 20s when it really crashed, half of the population is going to be unemployed again, like we were during COVID. So where do you think this money is going to come from to buy your house? The banks are going to tighten their lending rules, right?
Even more than they already are.
They're going to be super tight. So then you're going to miss out on that. And it just becomes this crazy maze. But I think it comes from, and I'm actually reading this really great book, and I'll share it with you. It's by Lewis Howes. It's about I have it over there, The Greatness Mentality. And in it, he talks about how we don't end up doing what we are meant to do because of our fears, our fear of failure, our fear of success, our fear of not being enough. Mm-hmm. And so the three different types of fears, a lot of times people don't go off to do the house because they don't fear, they have a fear of not being enough. They fear the work that they have, they have all these, we have all these different fears. And I won't leave myself out. I'm human, I have fears. Yeah. But we have all these different fears that keep us from every door that's been already put out or laid out for us to walk through, to move to wherever the space is we want to be. Wow. So I have one last question I think that will help the audience. What would you tell someone who is self-employed, maybe a hairdresser, nail technician, esthetician, that's popular now, who, they don't have they don't really have strong documentable income, depending on how they're doing it. But what would you tell someone like that wanted to purchase a home?
I love that question. So we are actually going to be doing a seminar here for self-employed, specifically cosmetologists. Shout out to my other agent, Poetry. That is her niche in her specialty. She's going to be doing a class here for that so soon in Georgia. But what I'll tell people is there are two ways that you can go about it. One, you can file your taxes and actually claim what you make and pay your taxes. There is something the IRS lets you have called a payment plan. You can buy a house while on a payment plan with the IRS. You just have to have made 3 payments. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's one way. The other way is you can do what we call a bank statement loan. A bank statement loan, yes, they're going to have a little bit higher interest rate, which is fine. Relax. Stop worrying about the interest rates, you guys. It's not 12% like they used to be in 2008, 2009. Like, relax.
Even in the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah, they were crazy, 15%. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I bought my first house in the early 90s. My interest rate was somewhere between 6 and 7%. It's not. These are the right now at 5%. It's. And then we show you how to pay back that money and get rid of most of that interest. We show you what to do. So do not worry about that. Go ahead and purchase the home, get in there, and then we'll show you how to eliminate that debt and not pay all of that interest and put that money toward growing your wealth.
Yeah. Wow. So the bank statement loan is the last one. Make sure you guys can do a bank statement loan. It's usually 10 to 20% down, so it'll require some saving on your part. And it'll look at what you actually what money actually gets put into the bank. And it's going to look at your P&L statements, so your purchase and loss statements, and kind of go from there to see how much house you can afford. So that's another method that you can go through.
I love that. Could you share that course with us?
Yes,
we can share that. We'll share it. And unless you want to share it publicly, we can share it in our private group.
No, yeah,
we're live in our private group as well.
Poetry is running with that. I'm helping her put it together. I'm super excited about it. She's gonna do an event here in Georgia. I'm trying to get her to sit down and put it on the video and put it out there. You guys have thank you guys for having me here. Just for my agents listening and hearing, you all ask questions about their niches and what I've been like drilling into them. Like, people want to know, like, you've got to, like, just the confirmation of them hearing that, I think is going to help them out tremendously. This has been great. Usually I get on here and people just ask me a bunch of questions and they don't talk back to me, and I feel like I'm talking to myself. So thank you for not making me feel that way. This has been fantastic. I had a good time.
Well, really, thank you. That was a lot of information, and I love the fact that you can find a house for 200,000
Or less
in Georgia.
in
I'm like,
Georgia.
let's go.
Let's go to all the California run and call Fresh Vision Realty.
Go. Can I take it?
I mean, I'm
direct
not moving to I'm not moving to Georgia. If I move somewhere, there has to be an ocean attached to it.
Oh yeah,
So I'm gonna need to move to Florida.
but you can invest in Georgia. You don't
Yeah,
have to live here.
yeah.
Yeah, y'all don't got no water.
You don't have to live here. You can
We got
invest.
some water. We can get out there to Savannah, and
Well,
Hilton Head is not that far.
Yeah, but don't go to the lake. Yeah, go to
Wonderful.
Savannah if you want one.
Wonderful.
But you
It's
can
an
invest.
hour, you guys.
You can
We're
invest
over
in
an hour.
Georgia. You don't have to live in Georgia.
Thank you.
Jasmine said we have the ocean. Savannah's here. Myrtle Beach is
Okay,
right
Jasmine,
next
I'll
door.
do that.
Yeah, but I really do want to say thank you, because I know I basically hit you up last week and go, hey, can you do it next week? And you were like, yeah. And she had a great event just last week, which I was attempting to go to, but I can't drive at night right now. It's a long story.
Okay.
But so it was just starting a little bit too late, so I couldn't go. And I hope that event went great. I've been seeing some pictures and things like that.
Yes,
I wanted to be there, although I'm not a real estate agent. I just love to be where I can soak up information so that I can be a resource for our community, because the biggest thing, the biggest thing that we have is lack of knowledge.
Absolutely.
and then too much information that we really can't discern. And so we need people like you, like Saran, Aaliyah, and myself, that we can help people to make some sort of sense of this information, to make them understand not everything is a scam. We have been run over by so many before that we tend to not trust anything, and then we miss our blessings. And so that's the reason why I love to be able to be in a place to always gain information and be able to share that. So we want to thank you so much. We're here typically for an hour, and we want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. We'd love to have you back, because I'm sure there are more questions. We can actually take each of the things that we talked about. So we'd love to have you back. And you and I are really going to connect. We want you to come back and talk about your travel agent business. We want you to come back and talk a little bit about homeschooling.
I've merged traveling and real estate. We can talk all about international real estate and investing in international real estate, and how I've merged. It's all tax write-offs. It's all real estate. I don't pay for traveling. I just travel for free.
Right.
All about it.
There we go. So we want you to come back. We definitely want you to come back and talk about all of that. You and I are going to connect. By the way, my son is taking his broker license exam. He passed the regular one. Now he has to do the state one. He's doing that sometime this week or next week. He's doing that. So congratulations to you. Yes.
He's opening a brokerage. He needs he needs to come join my other. So what my event was last Thursday is a indie broker collective. It is a collective that me and one of my other broker friends kind of started and founded, because we saw that there were not enough camaraderie among brokers, especially in Atlanta. We're about to open a Miami chapter. So we are really excited. We just want to encourage people, let people know that indie brokers are here, and we love people, and we do things a lot differently. We real people. You can touch us, and unlike the big companies. And so tell him, call us, come join our collective.
Well, I definitely will have him reach out, and you and I are going to be in touch. We got some other things that we're working on too as well. Absolutely. And so thanks again. You want to leave us with any parting words?
Just thank you guys for being here. Buy real estate and wait. I know that sounds cliche, but buy it now. Your $100,000. I have a client who bought a house for $70,000 6 years ago. That house is worth $350,000 today. So buy the house and wait. Yep. Don't wait. and
Love
lose the house. That's all. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank
Marquetta.
you so much. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Good
All right,
night.
good night.